It's very common for us as humans to have an issue with safety, like we're going to be okay in the world. That tends to cause all kinds of different emotional issues and patterns of thinking and various kinds of coping strategies. We lose touch with our true selves ourselves. We don't even know who our true self is, much less being willing to show that to others. Each of you has within you a resource that is alive and free, and it's indestructible. It's possible to lose touch with this resource, but it is not possible to destroy it.
Hello, beautiful souls. It is Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. Before we dive into today's podcast, I do have a small request from my heart. If our conversations ever resonate with you or have supported you on your journey, please subscribe to our channel or like this video. It helps us grow Sacred You, welcome more powerful voices into this space, and keep you connected to everything we share. Thank you for walking this path with us. Let us begin with today's conversation. Welcome to the Pathways to Wellbeing podcast. My name is Sophia from Sacred You, and with me today, I'm really excited. In this episode is the beautiful Tamara Andreas. Tamara, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Sophia. I feel honored to be here and I thank you for introducing me to your audience.
I'm really excited to have a conversation with you about how to have a sense of safety in the world, that if we're feeling insecure or vulnerable, which a lot of people are, and you are a wonderful person to speak with, Tamara, because you spent over 3 decades helping people experience deep transformation through your specific work, the core transformation work, which we're going to get into. And you've trained thousands of other people in that. So I'd love to know, Tamara, just by starting off first, tell us about you. Tell us about your beautiful self and what first led you to explore this work.
Okay, yeah, thank you for asking. And I was first introduced to core transformation when this was 35 years ago or something now, by now. And at that time, I was leading a training institute in the state of Ohio in the United States. And so we were doing trainings, NLP trainings actually. And I was an NLP trainer and all that. And Tamara Andreas, who's my sister, and she is a big developer in the field of NLP. And so she came in to train a segment of our master practitioner training. And so she taught what she had just developed, which was called core transformation that I had never heard of before. None of us had. And so as I was walking around, people do exercises with each other. So they're guiding each other through this process. And I'm walking around and I'm seeing what I had just never seen before, which is that in addition to making changes in their life, so they're changing their thinking, their emotions, they're changing their behaviors. In addition to that, they are also accessing these profound states that we could call a state of oneness or beingness, and it wasn't just the word, you could just see it on them. You could just see it radiating from them. And so that is what really got me interested in core transformation, is in addition to making changes, because as an NLP trainer, I was used to seeing people make changes in their thinking and their feeling, etc. But this was the first time that I had seen people accessing these profound states in the process of making these kinds of changes.
Yes, which is so interesting and so significant to be able to make profound, as you said, profound changes in our lives. So I want to get into this more. So thank you very much for explaining that. And especially, like we said, many women, for those who are listening or watching our podcast, many women, many people, especially women, struggle with insecurity and feel like that they have to hide their true selves. Right? A lot of us have
Right.
masks on. We don't feel comfortable in being who So, in your experience, why do you think this is so common?
Why is it so common? I think it's partly just a human thing. I suspect that it's because I found that it's true wherever I trained all around the world, that it's very common for us as humans to have, we could say, an issue with safety or feeling secure, feeling like we're going to be okay in the world. And then as a result of that, then that tends to cause all kinds of different emotional issues and patterns of thinking, various kinds of coping strategies. And yeah, I think it's probably just part of our what we deal with as humans.
Yes, living in this world.
Yeah.
And as you said, a coping strategy that we really don't really want to show our true selves.
Yeah, it really comes down to that, doesn't it? That and not just show our true selves, but we lose touch with our true selves ourselves. It's like we don't even know who our true self is, much less being willing to show that to others. It seems to be the common experience today.
It is because we have that fear of being judged.
That's a big part of it. Yes, I think that's very often comes down to that. Yes.
And I'd love to know a little bit, especially let's go into with that fear of being judged, because we don't really want to be vulnerable. A lot of people have this belief that vulnerability makes us weak. So, what would you say to someone who fears being really open and emotionally honest, who allow themselves to be vulnerable?
Yeah, yeah. Great question. And I'm going to give probably some different advice than a lot of people would. I think a lot of people would say, oh, just push through it. Just do it. Even if you're afraid, just do it. And that can work for some people. That said, what's a lot gentler, I think, and in my experience, is to so the part that doesn't want to reveal ourselves, this part has a good reason to feel the way that it does. And so what I want to do is to help this part that feels so afraid of being judged or that feels afraid of being attacked or however it might be. I want to help this part to actually get what it needs at the deepest level so that then there can just be a natural sense of it's okay to be myself. And if I'm criticized, that's okay. And I can accept others the way they are and accept myself as I am and just go forward.
Thank you for sharing. That's very interesting. How do we help those deepest parts? Because a lot of people resist. We all know that meditation, for example, or mindfulness is really helpful, right? When we can sit down and go into a deep state of meditation. But so many people resist it, even when they know that the answers are within us. We have the answers to everything within us. I think that
Yeah.
we know that. But we still resist.
Yeah, I think part of that has to do with the method because you're absolutely right. When I was younger, I was interested in meditation and I attempted to learn it. I never felt very successful at it, and so I finally gave it up. So that said, with this process that I'm talking about, which is core transformation, that's the method that I teach and I use with myself too. And with this process, it's very step by step and reliable to reach these kinds of deep states. And at the same time, it feels just like being kind to ourselves. And so I think a big part of it is just having the steps that reliably lead to these transformative states and also transform the issue that we want to change.
Yeah. So tell us more about your core transformation. And I know you've got a book there that you've called
Hmm.
this
Right.
core transformation, reaching the
Mhm.
wellspring within. What exactly is core transformation and how can we use it in our daily lives?
Okay, yes. So core transformation is a gentle inner process of exploring within that feels like being kind to ourselves. And with this process, we just very naturally and easily get in touch with the aspect of ourselves that has been causing the problem. Because as you probably know, a lot of people already understand consciously that they don't need to feel insecure. They don't need to worry about other people judging them, right? These people, they're not going to really hurt us. So a lot of people consciously already understand there is no need to have any kind of anxiety or insecurity in social situations, but it doesn't change it because the problem itself is caused by or generated by an unconscious part of us. And so that's the first key with core transformation is we have a way of tapping into the unconscious part of us that has been creating the experience that we don't like. So that's the first key. It's like getting to the right URL inside, we could say. And then you know how it is. If you're not at the right URL, then nothing's going to work. So that's the first thing. And then, of course, it goes beyond that too. Should I just keep on going on with that or?
Please do, yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So then, so we get in touch with this inner part of us. So let's say, I'll just use myself as an example here, because when I first learned core transformation, if you had asked me at that time, what's your biggest issue? I probably would have said, feeling shy in social situations. And I was a trainer at that. So I talked to groups of people. I spent a lot of time with groups of people, but I just didn't feel comfortable and natural and just easy about it. And I didn't feel free to just be myself. So, yeah, so that was my experience. So then when I did core transformation with this, the first thing I did was I just relaxed and let my attention go inward. And then I stepped into the situation. So I just imagined that there's all these people around me. So I'm with a group of people here. And I noticed this sense of what I would call shyness start to emerge. The first thing that I got was this image of a wall around myself. And when we start to communicate with these inner parts, they sometimes communicate with pictures and sometimes with words or sounds, sometimes with feelings. So the first communication I got was this image of a wall around myself. So so here's what's really different than a lot of approaches. We're not going to struggle with this or push against the problem. We're going to welcome this part and thank it for being there. So that's what I did because I know that it wants something positive. Even if I don't like the experience that it was creating, that feeling of shyness that I didn't like, I could recognize ahead of time that it wants something positive because they all do. Every part of us does. So I thanked the part for being there. And then I asked the part, what do you want? And then I just relaxed and waited for a response to come back. So I didn't try to figure out the answer. I just waited for a response to come back. And the answer was protection, safety. Now, this is something that I could consciously recognize is positive. It's useful. It's a positive thing. Even if consciously I didn't think I needed to have a wall around myself to be safe with this nice group of people, but still I could recognize that's a positive purpose. And so then I thanked the part for this. And I didn't stop with that though. Then I wanted to find out what are the deeper purposes of this. So how I did this was through the steps of the process. I invited the part to step into what it would be like to already have protection and safety, just the way that it wants. Gave a little time to step in. And then I asked the part, when you already have this, what do you want through protection and safety that's even deeper or even more important? And this time I got, oh, I could relax. I can feel comfortable. And this time, like I can feel my whole body relax. So it wasn't just image or just words. I could really feel it, the response to it. So then I continued in this way to get deeper and deeper purposes until finally I got to something that was an experience that I really didn't even have a word for at first. It was a sense, some people might have called it a sense of essence or energy or something. I just called it being, a sense of being. And this then was what we call the core state, the deepest state that this part wanted. And this was the resource that changed the whole thing. So when this part of me was already in this profound state of being, then there wasn't any fear of how others might judge or respond to me in this situation. And so it transformed the experience for this part.
Thank you for sharing that, because
Yeah,
it's so very interesting in what can happen when we do go into ourselves, when we do go inward and allow these processes and feelings and answers to come. So would you say that it's very similar to being, sorry, I've lost that one, not lost it, it got stuck. Would
no worries.
you say it's very similar to having a psychology session or being hypnotized or anything like that? Or is it completely different?
Yeah, that's a good question. Some psychologists are using this method, and some hypnotherapists are using this method. That said, though, it's different from what most people think of as a standard kind of psychology session or hypno. And those are two different, very different things, I think. But so with the psychology session, many people, what they expect to happen is to go in and talk and to spend a lot of time talking and understanding and telling, going on at great length about the problem and trying to figure out where it started and these kinds of things. Now, I'm not a psychologist, and so some psychologists might be watching and saying, no, no, that's not what we do. That said, I've had many clients say that this was their experience with psychology or standard psychotherapy, is that there was a lot of talking involved. And so core transformation is different from this in that it's not about, I think, an assumption with many types of approaches, types of mainstream approaches, is that if we can only understand our problems well enough and understand what solutions can work, etc., if we can have enough understanding, then our problems will just go away. And with this method, it's the opposite. So instead of going for understanding, we're going for change. We're going for a process of transforming experientially from the inside out. And and then as a result of that, then people might have some insights. So change can lead to insights sometimes, but insights is pretty unreliable for leading to change, it seems.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Things. Do people now? You mentioned that you saw a image of a wall around you. What about for people who are not visual? Does anyone have
Yeah.
these?
So that's such a great question because the experience can be so different from one person to another, while there are, of course, commonalities as well. So another person might not get any images. Instead, I'll just pretend to be somebody else here. So if I have a sense of feeling insecure in a social situation, so I'll pretend as if I'm in this situation, and even if I cannot see or if I'm not consciously aware of images of people around me, that's okay. I can step in and pretend as if I'm in this situation. And then I'll notice that response beginning to happen. I'll notice, okay, so where is this part of me that is creating this feeling? Like maybe it's here. A lot of people notice this by a feeling instead of an image. So they might say, okay, it feels like this is coming from here. So then on the inside, they ask the part, what do you want? They might just get like a word, safety, or a feeling, or sometimes a combination, like a word, safety, and then this melting feeling that goes with it, or something like that. So, yeah, it's completely fine and doable for somebody to do this if they are not consciously aware of their internal images.
Good. Thank you. We have to go much more into it, which we will, and I'll certainly be checking out your book. And for everyone who is watching or listening, do click on the links below and yeah, check out everything that is on offer. So thank you so much for sharing that, Tamara. It's really good. And I want to go into two different things, two different areas. Now, we're talking about people who feeling insecure, right? Stuff. Can anyone use core transformation for any issue that they want to get rid of?
Yes. So that is actually something that's really special about core transformation is that you can use it for an incredibly wide range of issues. And for example, pretty much any feeling like anger, I have examples of people who have changed a very significant anger response, even in one session sometimes. Anxiety, overwhelm, sadness, just really any kind of feeling they might want to change, or thought patterns such as being critical of ourselves or others, limiting beliefs like, oh, I can't learn or nothing will ever turn out, that kind of thing. So thought patterns or behaviors like eating patterns, getting defensive, yelling at the kids, whatever it might be. Yeah, pretty much anything that a person wants to change, if it's a feeling or a thought or a behavior, then core transformation can help. Just about the only thing that core transformation won't do is it won't give you a new business plan. It won't write your business plan for you, or it isn't going to teach you how to fly an airplane. So it's not going to there are things you need to get from other sources.
Yes,
However, when it comes to inner work, it can take on just about anything.
yes. It's more like instead of helping us with the future, it releases or heals the past that's blocking us from the future.
Exactly. Yeah. It heals our experience in the present,
Yes,
which then also we end up healing the past coming into the present. And then that then frees us up so that we can go into the future in a clear way.
yes,
Yes.
yes. And fly that airplane. Learn how to.
That's right. So if somebody wants to learn how to fly an airplane and they have an inner block to learning that, or to learning chemistry, or to anything, to getting married, whatever it might be, they might or might not have a good reason for some of these things not to go ahead. However, if there's something that really would be positive for them and yet they have an inner block to it, core transformation can help with that.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Let's go into that even more because, especially for people who might have fears as well, any type of fear that is stopping you.
Oh, definitely.
So, for someone who is listening and they're feeling stuck in whatever
Mhm.
way it is, whether they're insecure or whether they have a fear of heights, whatever it is, whether there's those deep inner beliefs that is holding them back, right? What's the very first step that they can take using core transformation?
Yeah. So the first step is to just really get clear on what is the thought, feeling, or behavior that they want to change. And because sometimes people start out not being clear about that. Initially, they might just be thinking, oh, I want to be more successful. Then from there, they need to figure out, okay, or identify, not figure out so much as just notice in their experience, what is it that happens that stops me from doing what I need to do to be more successful? What happens in my experience that stops me? Because then that is what I want to change. So that's the first step, is identifying what is the behavior, feeling, or thought to be changed.
So wonderful because we need to be clear on that. I can
Yeah.
imagine that if we're really not clear, then outcome is not going to be as strong or as positive that it can be if we really don't know what we want to change and stuff. What, in your experience, Tamara, what are some common mistakes people make when they're really trying to heal themselves emotionally?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So there's a few possible answers to that. So one answer is to go down the route of just trying to figure it out. That's likely to end up keeping them stuck. It might help them feel good about themselves that, oh, I feel like I understand myself better. And so there could be some value there for them. However, it's not likely to change it. So that's one thing. Another thing is to just struggle with it on the inside, to try to push. Like, for example, there was a salesman who used to have this pressure to make a sale, and he hated this. It made him feel so uncomfortable. He thought he would have to change careers. And so at first, he just tried to stop feeling that way. And the more he tried to stop feeling that way, the worse it got. And so then he did core transformation with it. And as a result, it completely changed. So, yeah, so trying to push against ourselves to try to force ourselves to change is a way that a lot of people get stuck. Yeah, so that's one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What about trauma? We have
Yeah.
in in today's world. I really think every single person on this world has experienced some type of trauma, to smaller degrees to really huge traumatic events,
Hmm.
especially through childbirth and childhood. How does core transformation help with overcoming those traumatic experiences?
Yeah. So, well, really a lot of what we work with core transformation is experiences that come from some kind of childhood trauma. However, what we don't need to do is we don't need to try to identify the childhood trauma, and we don't need to relive that and get into that. However, that said, a lot of what we are working with when we're just working with our current experience in actuality is these are responses that were formed through something that we could call traumatic, not necessarily like super duper traumatic, something that when we were young was overwhelming for us as a child. So, yeah. So it's great for that. If somebody has really serious childhood trauma, then I would recommend that they work with somebody who's skilled. And there might be, sometimes there's another method that we use in addition. I find that I don't usually need to use anything else but core transformation for the effects of childhood trauma. However, if you're working with somebody who's really skilled in core transformation and understands also specifically about working with trauma, which we teach in our advanced training, that we can't teach everything in just 3 days. So we have a whole training sequence. And for people who want to work with serious trauma, we recommend getting our advanced training for that.
Thank you again. And for anyone who is watching and listening again, do click on the links below. Reach out to Tamara, check out the website, everything that is on offer, especially about core transformation. And we'll go into everything that you do offer as well very soon, Tamara. But I'd love to know also, a lot of our traumatic experiences, our childhood experiences, anything that's happened to us in our past, our body holds. It goes into our muscles, it goes into our cells, into our DNA, everything like that. And a lot of it is so unconscious that we're not even aware of it. But yet
Mhm.
our body remembers everything. So, what role does the body play in core transformation? Can you shift things somatically?
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, so in the process, so what I've shared with you so far is just some of phase one of the process. I haven't given all the steps of that, but I've talked about phase one mostly. Altogether, there are 4 phases to the process. And in the third phase of it, phase three, one of the steps of this is to allow the core state to integrate with the whole body, with all the cells. And we can notice when this is happening, and also throughout the process, we can notice physiological shifts occurring where just naturally people's breathing changes, their muscles are responding differently, etc. And so we're inviting this integration of the core state with all the cells, even with the DNA, with all the organs and tissues throughout the whole body, as well as on a more energetic level with our sense of wholeness or consciousness throughout our whole body and system. Yeah, and that is not likely to be very effective if we do it out of sequence. So we don't do that just after the first step or the first phase. We do it after we've already gone through phase one, phase two, and most of phase three. And that's when the system is prepared for it so that the core state can really integrate well with the whole body mind system.
Mm. It certainly makes total sense. So I know a lot of people in different modalities You try to heal the body first through somatic practices or whatever it may be, but yet without going into that deep emotional experiences that is still there and stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I'm with you 100% on this, that healing the body usually, or I could even say always on this, healing the body, I think, will always go better if we also are approaching it from the mental and emotional direction as well. Because I actually teach a whole training on this as well, how to use core transformation for supporting mind-body healing. And every time we do core transformation, we're also helping the body because all these physical issues are exacerbated by stress. Mainstream medicine knows this. They've done a ton of research and they really know this, that every condition known to man, I think, has been shown to be worse if the person's under stress. Even wounds will heal faster if the person's not under stress. And with core transformation, we don't just remove the stress and get back to neutral. We actually go into what we could call a healing state. We could call this the opposite of stress,
Yes.
that's really a wholeness, a whole sense of our own inner well-being, we could say. It's hard to put it into words really, but our own core state then it has a very healing aspect to it.
Yes, and I agree totally, and especially part about the body that has so many wounds that if we are stressed, even our physical wounds will not heal as well as when we're relaxed and living in an aligned way. And it's all about the mind, body, and spirit as a whole, aligning everything. We can heal. Thank you for.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah.
And I'd love to know, Tamara, if I can ask you personally, because you did mention that you were very shy and that you had built up a wall around you. So, but now you've totally changed. You go around and you travel and you teach others and you're living authentically. You can see it in who you are. Can I just take a moment, Tamara, just to honor you?
Oh, thank you so much, Sophia. And you as well. I have to say, I really honor who you are and that you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I have the pleasure, I have to absolutely say the pleasure of chatting with women from all over the world because you never know who you're going to get to talk to, like your incredible self and your experience. And I said, just like to honor you for being who you are, for sharing your experience and bringing it to the world. Because there's a lot of women out there who would be able to relate from feeling very shy, even if you're in a group of hot people. You could be in a hot room full of people, but still feel very insecure and shy. But now
Mm.
you can see you're the embodiment, you're a shining example of really being authentic and living your true self. So I'd love to know, Tamara, what, if you would like to share, was there an actual moment in your journey through core transformation that really was a deep mark, a deep experience that shifted being shy who you are now?
Yeah, I wish that I could point to just one moment like that. I would say, now, so my experience has been that it was more incremental, that the more that I did core transformation, the more authentic I felt. That said, there are other people that I've worked with who have had more of a dramatic shift kind of thing with this sort of issue. So it can really vary from one person to another. One thing I would say is that, and I appreciate what you're saying about being extraordinary to be authentic. And at the same time, I want to add to that that it's actually also very ordinary. It's not about feeling any better than anybody else, that's for sure. It's just feeling natural, feeling myself. And so it's both special and also ordinary at the same time, I'd say.
Good. Thank you. And if you could go back to the a younger version of yourself, the one that felt insecure and unsure, what would you tell her now? What would you say to your younger self?
There's hope. Yeah, yeah. If I could go back, I just would have started sooner, started even younger with this. I was actually fairly young at the time. I was in my early 30s when I first learned core transformation, and it didn't exist before that. However, if I did have a time machine, I just go back to myself when I was a teenager. I could have really used core transformation then. I think it would have made a huge difference on my life and made some things just so much easier.
In what way, can I ask?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think it would have just made it the path to really finding who I am in the world and what I want to do and how I want to be would have been just so much smoother and easier. And also, actually, if I go back in time that far, teenager and early 20s, at that time, I really felt inside a kind of an empty space. Like I didn't feel just whole and complete in myself. And that I think drove me to doing things that in retrospect, I would have loved to go back and made other choices. And so if I had core transformation at that time, then I would have filled that in. I would have had a sense of being whole and complete within myself that would have, I think, led me to having healthier relationships at that age and just making healthier choices. And yeah, I think that would have been just wonderful.
Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Now, talking about more about core transformation and the book that you have, one would was to read your book.
Mhm.
They do this work on their own.
The answer is yes. And so we put everything in this book that we could possibly think of that can help somebody to guide themselves through the process. And that said, and some people are really good self-guides and they can do it really well just with the book. I think everybody can at least get some sense of it just from the book. Now, that said, for most people, the experience is so much easier and deeper if you have somebody guiding you through the process. And so that's why we do trainings. And so the trainings isn't just for professionals, although of course we welcome professionals and get a lot of professionals. However, it's also for just individuals who want the experience for themselves and they don't want to go to a coach and have one-on-one sessions, then, that's an alternative that's a good fit for most people. Some people really do need to start with one-on-one sessions. They have some pretty more extreme difficulties, challenges, but most people, it's appropriate to start with a training and then they can guide and be guided. And through doing this, then they're teaching themselves the skills that they'll need to guide themselves. So every time they guide somebody else or somebody else guides them, the unconscious is learning this process and making so that makes it much easier for people to guide themselves after they've been through the training.
Yes, sure. Totally understand. Thank you. Thank you for that. And you've been training people for many years. So what lights you up the most about training others in core transformation?
The most about training with core transformation, especially just seeing the change, it's just remarkable. So, like on the first day, first of all, the people who are drawn to core transformation are people like you, Sophia. They're lovely people who are making this choice to be on a path of self-transformation. So that's the first thing. And that said, on the first day, just you can tell from how people speak and how they're interacting that there's a sense of a little bit more tension. Most people have that. It's a sense of more tension, a sense of these challenges. Then by the last day of the training, you can see it, you can hear it, and then people share in words what they've experienced. And so just being a part of that is just so rewarding for me. I love it. And another thing too, Sophia, is that whenever I love this process and I love doing it for myself. However, when I guide other people or I'm teaching other people, then I am also stepping into the core state experience even more myself. So that's how it is as a trainer and also working one-on-one with people. Other people tell us this too, if they're a coach or a therapist with a lot of methods. After working with a client for a session, at the end, they feel really drained and tired. It was like it was a real slog. With core transformation, at the end of the session, there for many people, including myself, at the end of the session, we feel more relaxed and more energized and more at peace.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. It's not like your energy is being drained.
yeah, nor is the other person. So me and the client both, we all get to be more relaxed and energized at the end of a session.
Thank you. And I know everyone is different, right? But on general, and if you can answer this one, generally, how many steps are there in core transformation?
It depends on how you chunk it and what you call a step.
Yeah.
So in the book, we call it a 10-step process because that's how we chunk it out. That said, you, when we're doing the training, we have 9 steps in phase one, I think 5 steps in phase two, maybe 7 in phase three, I'm not totally sure, and then another 5 in phase four. However, we don't have to do all of that in the first exercise. So in the first exercise, we're just doing phases one and two. So it's like a relatively small, manageable number of steps.
Good, good. And I will definitely be checking it out more and things because the first step obviously is to become clear
Yeah.
in what you want. Thank you. And I'd love to go through your core transformation process as well, some stage, definitely, absolutely.
Awesome. I'd love to have you.
Yes, we will be doing that. And Tamara, if I can ask before we wrap up, for you, what does the pathway of well-being mean for you?
So for me, where I am in life is I'm getting used to a new stage in life, which is I have a small family. I have a husband and a son. So he's grown now. And so I am getting used to this stage in life for me, which is I'm still a mom, but I'm a mom of an adult. So that's really a different stage than it has been. And so connecting with this stage in life more and more deeply and with my professional life, I am looking for ways to reach more people with this because you and I both, I'm sure, can just see so much suffering in the world. And a lot of that suffering is option. It's not necessary. And I would really love to see more people access these resources that allows things might still be difficult, but the suffering part is optional. And to allow that suffering to drop away, I'd love to see that.
That's very true. And I love it if I can interrupt and say that suffering is optional.
Yeah,
We all have challenges. Without the challenge, we wouldn't grow. I really believe the challenges are there to help us grow, to help us ascend, if you wanted, to the next level, whatever that may be for each individual person. But how those challenges affect us, and if we allow ourselves to suffer, to go down the path of suffering, that is totally optional. So,
totally agree. Yeah.
now, you talked about resources, and on your website, which I'm looking at now, there's a whole variety of free resources and free offers. We will be putting the links to your website below in our conversation. So, again, for anyone who's listening, click on the below and check out
Mhm.
all the free offers that Tamara has to. Do you want to talk about any of them at all, Tamara? Mention any of them in particular?
Yeah, so one of the free things that you can get is a free training. Right now, we have an introductory 80-minute video that's a recording of I did this with a group of people some time back and we recorded it. And then there's also a free micro book. So it's not this one. It's a micro book that you can get online that teaches the first 2 phases of the process.
Okay,
And yeah, so those are a couple of things.
okay, thank you. I've got so much more to ask you, so please do come back. But one other quick question. Is this different, or how is this different to your traditional NLP training?
Yes, thank you. And so, first, how it's the same is that it has the same precision that people are used to if they've been studying NLP, that there are specific steps that work reliably. Okay, so that's how it's the same. How it's different is that it goes to this deeper spiritual level. We could call it spiritual NLP. The thing is that to truly go to a deeper level, to a spiritual level, it takes different presuppositions, that's assumptions, we could say, or it takes a different model than what standard NLP, what classical NLP has to offer. And so, yeah. Now, that said, I want to be really clear that I still use some of the classical NLP methods myself from time to time. They still work. And it's very easy for somebody who has an NLP practice to start just incorporating core transformation along with what they're already doing. It's not an either or thing at all. It's very supportive of an NLP practice to also add core transformation.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And for people out there who may be just very new and don't
Mhm.
know what NLP is, would you like to just explain very quickly what NLP is?
Sure, yeah. So it got started through studying what is it that allows really effective therapists to be so effective and to extract what is it that they're doing that they're not really articulating or teaching other people to do, but what is it that they are doing systematically. And so it started with that, and also understanding. In NLP, it's called the structure of subjective experience. So that might sound like, oh, a lot of technical jargon. What all that means is it's studying how it is that we create our own personal world that we live in. So we could say that the outer world is perhaps all the same for everybody, but nevertheless, our inner world is unique. The world that we experience is unique, our subjective one. And so to discover how it is that we do that and then how to make changes in it. And most of NLP works really more on a level of mental patterns, and it can come off as being a little bit technical. And core transformation, what's different about it is that it has the same precision. However, it goes to, again, more of a spiritual space where different kinds of principles apply. And so, yeah.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
for any people who do NLP or neuro logistics programming, and you're interested in core transformation, reach out to Tamara by clicking on those links below. And even if you're not into NLP and you want to know more, check out the website and everything that you have to offer, Tamara.
That's right, because people don't need to have an NLP background to learn core transformation. So we give them everything they need to know to do this.
Yeah. But if you have, as you said, you can combine them, you can use them.
That's right. Yeah, in fact, whatever, if you're using anything else, if somebody is a clinician and they have a hypnotherapy practice, or they have a psychology practice, psychotherapy, whatever kind of practice that you have, it's possible then for NLP to be added as a resource and discover how this can support your clients in another way.
Thank you for sharing that. And Tamara, is there any other question that I could have asked you?
Oh gosh, you asked so many good ones. So let's see. How about this one? What's a takeaway? What's something I want to leave people with?
What would you like?
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, the first closing thought is just thank you again so much, Sophia. I really treasure this and I'm grateful to you for this introduction. And then the other thought that I want to leave people with is that each of you has within you a resource that is alive and free, and it's indestructible. So it's possible to lose touch with this resource, but it is not possible to destroy it. And so my wish for you is that you'll join me in this path and learn the steps that can lead you to this resource reliably, and then allow your life to change easily and effortlessly from the inside out.
I love that. Thank you. What a wonderful way to wrap up today's episode. So really, thank you, Tamara. It has been a true honor to chat with you today. I do hope that you come back, and I will certainly be checking out more of your website, which I've got right here, and all your resources and the book Core Transformation, because, like I said, like just about everyone in the world, there's a lot of within me that needs to be transformed. So certainly going to be looking at that. So thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you again. And I hope to see you again then.
Definitely, absolutely. Thank you. Tamara Andreas' final thoughts truly encapsulate the essence of today's conversation, that within each of us exists a resource that is alive, whole, and indestructible, even if we have lost touch with it. Tamara reminds us that transformation does not come from force, but from gently reconnecting with that inner state. And if you would like to explore Tamara's work further, be sure to check out her book, Core Transformation, Reaching the Wellspring Within, along with all her other trainings and free resources available on her website. You will find all the details in the links below. At Sacred You, we are here to create a space for connection, empowerment, and transformation. Join us at www.sacredyou, that is the letter U.love, for more empowering conversations, community events, wisdom circles, and even our sacred archetype quiz. And as always, please subscribe to our podcast, share it with a friend, or leave us a review. We would love to hear your thoughts. As Tamara shared, true transformation happens when we stop fighting ourselves and instead turn inward with curiosity and kindness. And most importantly, healing does not require reliving the past. It's about shifting your present inner experience, one step at a time. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep walking your pathway to well-being. Have a beautiful day, and we will see you soon.